The basic fibers that are traditionally used in paper making are kozo, which is paper mulberry, mitsumata, and gampi. In this particular case, we are using kozo, and the particular stage of this fiber is known as kurokawa, or black bark. This fiber is removed from the stalk and then dried for later use. Prior to using the kurokawa or black bark, it is soaked in water overnight to soften and remove any water-soluble elements. And this helps in the removal of the outer layers. And there are three basic layers to the bark: the black bark, the middle green bark, and the inner white bark. How much of it is removed determines the whiteness of the paper. During this process, it is very important to keep the strip of bark that you're working on intact and not break it into small pieces. The fiber is then cooked for anywhere from 2 hours to maybe 3 or 4 hours, depending on the thickness of the fiber and the strength of the alkaline that we use. And traditionally they used wood ash, but now we use soda ash to cook. The alkaline removes all the non-cellulose material, so what you're trying to do is remove the non-cellulose material into solution, so you're remaining with as pure cellulose as possible. How much is left in, again, determines the quality of the final paper. To know if the fiber is thoroughly cooked, a piece of the bark is removed and then gently spread apart. And if you see a very fine network of the fibers as you spread the bark apart, then you know that it's cooked.
Okay.
The bark is then rinsed, and then the process known as chiritori, or removing of all the impurities or imperfections in the fiber, which includes bits of bark, scar tissue, little pieces of wood, unevenly cooked portions of the fiber. That's all removed. And basically the beating is maybe 2 or 3 passes and then repeated. Once the fiber is prepared, then the preparation of the neri, or the formation aid, which is a very mucilage, it's very like mucilage, is prepared. And this is very important to make Japanese paper. The powder is added to moving water so that a large mass does not form, and that it is evenly dispersed as possible in the water. After that's mixed, then that mixture is strained to help again with the blending of the neri and the water, so you have a very even solution. and the type of paper you want to make will require more or less neri, more or less pulp. And all this is mixed together so you have a very even distribution of fiber. And the neri helps in the suspension of the fibers. When you form a sheet of paper, there are 3 basic strokes. The first stroke is known as the kake nagashi, or the stroke that makes the face of the paper. And this is a single stroke. The mixture is added to the screen and then moved across and then thrown off on the other end. The next stroke is known as the choshi, which determines the thickness of the paper, and this is repeated as many times as required to build up the layers of paper. The final stroke is known as sutemizu, which means to throw off, and this is the final stroke which forms the back side of the paper. And while the 3 strokes are very simple to learn, the combination and how well you can make an even sheet of paper many times and all the pieces of paper will look alike is difficult. Japanese paper is made on a very flexible screen, and it is that screen that is removed, then it can be very carefully laid down onto the post. When the post is made, how many sheets you're making that one day, then it is covered and then gently pressed overnight. The next day then it is put into a press and gradually pressed until there's maybe about a 70 to 80% moisture content remaining. At that point, the individual sheets can be removed and then carefully brushed onto boards to dry. And the brushing stroke is from the center of the sheet to the edge of the sheet so that there are no bubbles caught between the surface and the paper paper dries as flat as possible. All the steps to make a sheet of paper is very easy, very easily learned, and it comes with practice and probably a lot of experience. But it is possible to make a sheet of Japanese style paper even with non-Japanese fibers.